It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. I am fascinated by traffic patterns in Southern California, probably for the same reason a lot of people are fascinated by traffic patterns in Southern California. Traffic doesn't move. The freeways are all jammed all the time, and I sit on the freeway 2 hours every single day contemplating that there must be a better way. How is it that in 2025 we haven't figured this out? And there have been some solutions. There have been some things that people do, but none of them seem to work. Well, one of the things that different parts of Southern California have tried to ease the traffic hell is taking a freeway that had 5 lanes and turning 2 of those lanes into express lanes. So it's a little bit faster if you're willing to pay. And while I think that's super unfair to the average person, if there were express lanes in my parts of the freeway, you know I'd use them. And then I'd bill the radio station. But what do you know? Look at this. We're getting more express lanes. They're coming to the 1015 interchange. Let's hear what's going on here. Here's KTLA.
Now at 5:30, an area along the I-15 in San Bernardino that is regularly a traffic hotspot is getting a massive update. Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30. I'm Cher Calvin.
And I'm Micah Ullman. Construction is underway in San Bernardino County to help improve the flow of traffic and safety.
Well, it'll improve the flow of traffic for those 2 lanes. The rest of the lanes, traffic's about to get a whole lot worse.
Along the I-15 corridor between the 60 and the 10.
KTLA's Shelby Nelson is live in Ontario with more on what drivers in the area can expect. Shelby?
Sure, Micah. We are talking about a stretch of the 15 freeway that passes through the 10, through the 60. If you live out here in the Inland Empire like us, or even if you just live in SoCal, you probably know that area is very congested. And these express lanes are supposed to help alleviate some of that pain.
Supposed to. Although during the years-long construction of these, it's going to be a nightmare around there. And what do we see? Do we see marginally improved traffic? I don't know.
Everybody coming into the 15 and plus they have 1 or 2 lanes on the 15 that they're working on. And you just can't move. I mean, it's like a funnel.
That's the frustration a lot of people feel driving through what's described as one of the most congested bottlenecks in the U.S., the I-10-15 interchange.
That's a bad one.
And La Mirada resident Robert Gonzalez, who was picking up his wife in the area, says he tries to avoid it at all costs.
Right now, when I went through it, it was like 12:45, and it's already bad.
Yeah.
And if you get a 3 or 4 or 5 until probably after 7 or 8.
Traffic patterns have totally changed since COVID, where it used to be you had a rush hour and then you were pretty good during the middle of the day. And then, of course, you had the drive home. Now it seems to be all bad all the time on all the freeways. I get off at 3 o'clock. And at 3 o'clock, the freeways are jammed. And yeah, it only gets worse, but it doesn't seem like there really is any good time anymore.
You just can't get on the 15.
And it might get a little slower before it gets better. That's because crews have begun construction to add express lanes north to south.
It's the one other aspect in our efforts to fix our freeways, modernize our freeways, expand lanes. Our freeways are perpetually under construction, which while they're under construction, which can take many, many, many years, the freeways are totally jammed all the time. Look at the 5 in the Buena Park area. How long has that been going on? Look at the 101 freeway in between Ventura and Santa Barbara. I've been going up to wine country for over a decade, and that freeway's been under construction for over a decade.
Along the I-15 from Canto Galiano Ranch Road in Jurupa Valley through Rancho Cucamonga just north of Foothill.
It is basically adding 8 miles of express lanes in San Bernardino County and a small portion of Riverside County to connect with Riverside County's express lanes that already exist.
All in part to relieve some of that congestion. The project is expected to finish by 2028.
I love the whole concept, the express lanes. Yes, it will relieve some congestion if you're willing to pay through the nose, although those can get crowded as well. I've seen many an express lane jammed as well. But if you're not willing to pay or you can't afford it, just by sheer math, your traffic is about to get a whole lot worse.
And will cost $535 million, some of which comes from Measure I, a half-cent sales tax that San Bernardino County voters approved to extend through 2040.
Everybody has a value of time. And if congestion is going to result in more cost to you than what the toll for a reliable trip time would offer, you might make that choice.
For some commuters like Tyson Giles, who drives from Ontario to Rancho Cucamonga, the busy interchange isn't much of a hassle.
I see progress being done, so no complaints.
What drivers should be...
That guy's commute's not very far.
What drivers should be expecting...
While you're out there, you got to look for crews. You got to watch for signs. A lot of work behind K-Rail, those concrete barriers.
They're going to be moving lanes here, moving lanes there, repainting. It's going to be real slow for a real long time for marginal improvement. That's the Caltrans way.
And remember, that will continue to fluctuate as those crews work to build out the express lanes. So be cognizant of workers out there and give yourself enough time in case there are delays. Reporting live from Ontario, I'm Shelby Nelson, KTLA 5 News.
So, I mean, at least they're trying something to improve freeway traffic, especially in that area. But freeway traffic is awful. And everyone who gets stuck in freeway traffic, whether you're on a weekend trip coming home or this is part of your daily commute, everyone has to make the same decision. The freeway is jammed. Do I sit here and suffer, or do I dare try to waze this thing out, take the streets, and try to cut around? I sit on the freeway and suffer. And I do it for one very specific reason. Because every single time that I have tried to cut around the 10 freeway getting to the 405 in the Sepulveda Pass, it has not saved me any time. It has irritated me more because now I am on the roads with the most impatient people in the world who are driving like crazy to save 1 or 2 minutes off their commute. And I happen to find those trips much more dangerous. Even though the 405 is slow as hell, you try to take Sepulveda, now all of a sudden you're dealing with the people that are super late for work, and they're going to be crazy. And what do you know? There's one part of Ontario where you have people that ditch the freeway in order to save time, and it has turned into a very dangerous corridor. Here is a report from KCAL.
Well, fed up and fighting back, residents in Ontario pleading for help from the city after frequent and deadly accidents plague 6th Street.
KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock with video that shows exactly how dangerous the situation has become.
Well, neighbors say drivers use this street to cut around freeway traffic all the time, and many speed down it. One man installed cameras to capture what was happening. He says he's afraid for his friends and family whenever they walk out to the street.
If you can avoid it, make sure you never live on a major thoroughfare. It might be a little cheaper, but it's way less safe. If you're going to move somewhere, make sure it's not on a major street where you're going to have to deal with that every single day.
It looks and sounds like a game of bumper cars. The crashes that Guy Scalise has recorded in front of his Ontario home.
I've helped at least 10 people with their insurance claims to show it wasn't their fault.
Only it's real life, and a couple of the crashes have been fatal.
One time, a motorcyclist hit the roundabout, flew 40 feet into the back of a pickup truck, and that's the one who passed away.
Whoa!
There were 2 more who passed away down on Benson, so it's the whole street.
He says the problem is complicated. People use 6th Street as a pass-through to avoid traffic on the nearby 10 freeway.
So the 10 is totally jammed, whether it's just because of it's the 10, or there's construction, or there's an accident, what have you. People get off, they use 6th Street as a cut around, but of course the people that do that are incredibly impatient and they drive very dangerously because, well, they were just sitting in traffic and now they're angry.
Sometimes guided by their GPS apps, and some drivers...
I gotta say, I don't think the GPS apps save you any time. Sometimes my GPS app makes the most nonsensical suggestions in order to shave off a minute of my commute, and every time I look at it, I know it's wrong. I know it's full of crap. Getting off at Getty on the 405 and trying to take Sepulveda the whole way does not make my commute any faster. Instead of getting on the freeway, trying to go through Havenhurst, cutting through the Encino neighborhoods and going all the way up to Mulholland does not save you time. You know why? Because you and 100 other jackasses with the same exact app are trying the same thing at the same time. In my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong about this, you're better off sitting in the freeway, suffering. At least you know where you're going. And if you happen to have adaptive cruise control, you can let the car do the stop and brake for you.
Sometimes guided by their GPS apps. And some drivers look like they're traveling close to freeway speeds in his videos. And then there are these medians with trees running down the center of the road. They're actually a traffic calming measure meant to slow drivers down.
Doesn't seem like that's working.
But
it's just veering and being distracted and going too fast and hitting cars.
He says he and several of his neighbors have complained, but they feel like the city needs to do more to address the issue.
I think we need more enforcement. Like everyone in the city is complaining about people running stop signs, driving erratically.
The city of Ontario tells me they haven't recorded an uptick in accidents on this stretch of road compared to any other roads in the city.
Well, but you've got video evidence of how dangerous that road is.
And that traffic has eased a bit since the new 10 freeway express lanes recently opened. Still, they say they take the issue seriously and will have city engineers take a look at the street with this new attention on it. And the city of Ontario says police routinely patrol this stretch of 6th Street, and they will continue to do so. Reporting in Ontario, Nicole Comstock, KCAL News.
There's just one example of one freeway, but I feel like there are sections of every major freeway where people think they've got the shortcut. They know how to get around, and they're going to jump off the freeway and jump back on later to save them 1 or 2 minutes. Here's what I want to know from you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You're probably stuck in traffic right now. What I want to know is on your daily commute, when the freeway jams up, do you sit there and just take it? Or do you try to get off, get around, use the GPS, and find some kind of shortcut? I am firmly in the belief that that never works out. I am firmly in the belief that I'm always better off just suffering in one lane, not constantly moving around, listening to the radio, listening to one of my show prep things, listening to a podcast, than trying to navigate my way around traffic hell. I don't think there are any better alternatives, and I actually think they could be more dangerous because the people that do take those routes, now they're driving even more erratically because they're obviously late for something. But when you're stuck in traffic, do you sit there and just take it on the freeway, or do you try to get around? Do you try to detour your way out of freeway jam traffic? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. When you're stuck in a freeway traffic jam, do you sit there or do you try to get around it and use your GPS to get a shortcut? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're stuck in traffic, give me a call right now, 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Freeway traffic is always awful all the time. That being said, when I'm stuck in a traffic jam, I'd rather just sit there and deal with it than try to constantly merge in and out of lanes or try to get off the freeway because Waze has some kind of shortcut. I don't think that almost ever saves you any time, and I think it's dangerous because the people doing that are usually much more impatient. What say you? When you're stuck in traffic, do you just sit there and take it, or do you try to get around it with an app? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're sitting in some hell traffic right now, give me a call. Tell me how you handle this situation. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to John and Marietta. John, hello.
Hey, how you doing? So
doing great.
I was listening to what you had to say, and it made a lot of sense. I see that all the time. I drive, and I usually leave earlier in the morning to avoid all that stuff, especially on Mondays. But when I come home, there's no way of getting around it. So you either suck it up, stay in your lane, or get off, go around. And you're right. You know, there's electric bikes everywhere, kids being erratic, doing wheelies. I think it's better if you just stay in your lane. Suck it up, like you say.
Yeah. At least the time seems to go by better when you can just focus on whatever else you do and you make your phone calls. If you're actively trying to fight the traffic, I find that I just get a lot more frustrated and angry, and that's when I start screaming at the top of my lungs.
And you miss red lights, and, you know, people aren't going at green lights. I get it. Yeah. It's better to stay in your lane and just run with it. I have a Fast Track account, and it helps a little bit, but not that much.
How much do you pay when you use those things on a daily basis?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When you're using the Fast Track, how much do you have to pay, like, on a regular daily commute?
About $20. There and back from Marietta to Orange County. It's around that, somewhere around there.
But it saves you time, huh?
Like I said, in the morning, in the afternoon, not so much, because that 241 gets bunched up. It goes into 2 lanes heading west and 2 lanes heading east. And they have those they have those plastic dividers there. People go through that all the way, you know, bust through there trying to bypass the bottleneck. And so they go through those little picket fences. Good thing they don't hurt anybody. So, yeah, it's not much. It's not much, especially when you hit the 91. You can either get back into the Fast Track lane, the express lane, all the way to the left. But once you hit the 15 and the 91, it backs up right there. Pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. It's a nightmare. Thanks so much for the call, John.
Freeway. Okay. See ya.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. Oh, boy. It's, you know, living in that part of town is very nice. And Orange County and Riverside are beautiful places. And Riverside has a lower cost of living. But that 91, oh, my goodness, it's, you know, it doesn't matter what radio station you're listening to, what traffic report, the 91 will always be on it. Of course, I'm not any better. I have the 405. And the 405 is always awful all the time, usually for no good reason. It just is. It's the way it was designed. When you are stuck in traffic, do you just sit there and take it, or do you start loading up the GPS and try to find your way around it? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Leonard in San Gabriel. Leonard, hello.
Hey, Randy, good afternoon. Love the show, man. Love the show.
Thank you.
And John, too. Hey, so I work in the Palisades, and so I don't use the app to get home quicker, but what I do is I just go up Wilshire to Sepulveda, and I take Sepulveda over the hill into the valley, because I know when I get to that 405 and that 101 interchange, yeah, man, it comes to a dead stop about 5, 6 o'clock at night. So I would rather be on the streets than sit on the 405. That's just me, though.
I feel ya. I deal with that freeway every single day, and it is sucking a little bit of my soul out of my body every time I'm on it.
Yeah, I bet. That 405. It's ridiculous, man. But yeah,
Well,
I've tried all the different ways, taking Sunset out of there. I thought I was going to be smart and go up around the Getty Center, Oh my gosh, that was even worse. One lane just backed up all through the canyon. Terrible through that area of the west side.
It's just all bad all the time everywhere. Thanks so much for the call, Leonard. Appreciate it. Every time I think I got a shortcut figured out, like I used to do the Mulholland thing all the time. Get off at Skirball, and I'm going to take Mulholland down to that street that connects to Havenhurst. Well, some days that works, and some days everybody else is trying that, and it's just a nightmare. Traffic is awful in Southern California. You're probably stuck in traffic right now. The freeway you're on is probably jammed. When the freeways are all jammed up, do you sit there and just deal with it? Or do you load up the GPS, try to find a shortcut, and try to fight your way around it? How do you deal with the traffic hell when the freeways are jammed up? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Do you sit there and take it, or do you fight it? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Get on the line right now. If you're stuck in traffic, it's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Construction has begun on new express lanes at the 1015 interchange in parts of Riverside, San Bernardino County. There is a stretch of the 10 freeway in Ontario where people like to get off the freeway, race through a side street dangerously to get back on the freeway. And I don't know. I'm one of these people that I know it's going to be awful, and I don't think it's going to be any better trying to fight my way around traffic. What I want to know from you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this. When you see a traffic jam in front of you, do you just sit there and deal with it, or do you fire up the GPS, get off the freeway, and try to fight your way through traffic? Tell me how you react in that situation. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Andrew in Garden Grove. Andrew, hello.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Doing great.
Great. I'm doing good myself, sitting in traffic, but you know what? I'm sitting here and dealing with it because I spent most of my adult life on the 91 freeway, dealing with it day in and day out. And, you know, the moment you start trying to fight it, start developing a little stress, and you get home and everyone can tell and feel the freeway coming off of you. So that's just sort of what I do. Sort of gave up trying to race through lanes and get off on side streets, done it all. None of it's worked. I think that's the best method.
I totally agree with you. It's going to be awful either way, but at least this way you can spend your time and your energy dealing with the stress instead of actively stressing yourself out, trying to save 1 or 2 minutes off your commute.
Exactly. And, you know, people around you start driving desperately when you start trying to take risks. It's just not fun. A lot of crazy interactions with drivers occur. I think it's just best for people to just, like you said earlier, just stay in your lane and just occupy your mind or your ears with something that you enjoy.
Totally agree with you, buddy. Thanks so much for the call. Andrew, have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, bud.
And, of course, this is an awful weekend for traffic as it's Coachella weekend number 2. Look, I have been in both minds. I still fire up the GPS every single day. I don't know why. I don't use it. I use Apple Maps because it pops up on my Apple CarPlay. And I think it's always full of crap. I think that its ETAs are not super accurate. And every time it thinks it's giving me advice, I don't think it's helpful. I have tried on an occasion when it really is warning me, like if I'm on the 10 about to get to the 405 and it's like, no, take Overland. and then take National and go through the streets and try to get to Santa Monica Boulevard and then get on the freeway there. Every single time I have tried that, I have regretted it, because it seems like the GPS apps never account for that you're going to hit every single red light in between there. They also don't account for jackass driver behavior, like on a Thursday afternoon when people don't want to wait. So even though the intersection is backed up, they decide to get into a middle of an intersection completely stopped because they don't want to wait for the next light, because now they're late and they're impatient. And what happens? Now the intersection's completely blocked, so the people going the other way can't go, and so on and so on and so on. I just find, as awful as drivers are, the ones that stay on the freeway, they're a little less hot-headed. Now, there's still plenty of road rage that goes on out there. And believe you me, I get so irritated when I'm sitting in, because I have, a speedometer, 5 mile an hour traffic. We're going 5 miles an hour on the 405. None of the lanes are moving. The carpool lane, what's the point of that? I have an electric car. I could get one of those stickers. I never applied for one, because when I'm driving the 405, I never see the carpool lanes moving any faster than the regular lanes. I don't understand what the point is anymore. Now, at some point, they're supposed to turn those into express lanes, but can you imagine the construction time on the 405, what that's going to be like? Yeah, at that point, I'm working from home. I'm done. Good luck. Someone else can run the board from noon to 3. I'm not doing that. But I can't stand it when I'm sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic and people need to start weaving in and out, merging lanes constantly because they think this is how they're going to get around faster. What you're doing is you're slowing everybody else down. That being said, there's not a lot of room to do that when it's completely jammed on the freeway. But it doesn't stop people from trying. But every time I try to get off, try to go some other way, it just doesn't work for me. It's just a nightmare. And I really, really, really don't trust the GPS apps. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a way that you fight through traffic. Maybe you enjoy it. Maybe you think it's okay. I mean, I could be totally wrong here, but I think my time and my energy is better spent just sitting there, educating myself. I got a YouTube playlist that's never ending with nonstop show content that I have to listen to for this show or for the John Phillips show. I'll be totally honest with you. You know what I did to make sure that I wasn't so bored out of my mind at 3:45 driving home? I listened to Gavin Newsom's podcast. What's wrong with me? But I did it. I listened to Gavin Newsom's podcast because I can just focus on that, pay attention to see if he ever says mindful and not have to worry about the fact that this freeway is not moving. The only decision I have to make, and it's a decision I have to make at crunch time every day, is do I get on the 405 and get off at Burbank, or do I get on the 101 and get off at Balboa? Both are awful, and you have to decide at the last minute which one looks less awful. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. When you get stuck in god-awful freeway traffic, do you sit there and take it, or do you get off the freeway, load up the GPS, and try to fight your way around it? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to David in North Hollywood. David, hello. David? Davey? Davo?
Dave's not home.
Dave's not home?
Dave's
right,
not
buddy.
home.
Okay. How about now? Thanks so much for the call, Dave. The hell was that? 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Dave's not home. 800-222-5222. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you get so zoned out on traffic, you don't know what's going on. 800-222-KABC. How do you deal with being completely stuck in traffic on the freeway? Do you just sit there and deal with it, or do you actively try to fight it? I don't do that because it stresses me out. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. You know, when I'm stuck in traffic, there are a few different things I do. One, it's where I make my phone calls for the day. I call my mom, I call Missy in sales, and we brainstorm ideas for the radio station. I listen to show prep. Sometimes I listen to podcasts just for enjoyment, whether it's my Conan O'Brien podcast or my Melrose Place rewatch podcast, I'm Not Ashamed, or even Gavin Newsom's podcast, but that's for show prep. I don't listen to that for entertainment. I listen to that for you. But you know what I find myself doing just more often than not these days is I'm daydreaming. I am sitting on the 405, imagining and also scheming, how am I going to, in 5 years, this is my new 5-year plan. I don't want to go anywhere when it comes to this job. I love this job. I love what I do here. I love what I do with John Phillips. I think I have the best time. I'm the luckiest person. The worst part of my life is sitting on that freeway. So my 5-year plan is to do the same job, but from somewhere where I don't ever have to drive again. So I like to dream about moving to somewhere in the Bay Area, maybe Santa Fe, New Mexico. Heck, traffic is so bad here. I've even preferred, I spent a week in Dallas this year. I was like, I'd rather live in Dallas than live in Los Angeles much longer. The traffic is that bad. Now, Dallas has traffic problems too, but it's not nearly as bad. There are whole toll freeways that cut right through the city, and that Tex-Mex is real good. But yeah, I find myself daydreaming constantly. How am I going to get out of this area? And I might not just... maybe I can live somewhere in like a beach community and work remotely, maybe Orange County. I got to get out of LA. I got to get out of the Sepulveda Pass. It's driving me crazy. Hey, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes Jagged Edge with Donnell Jones and Eric Bellinger at the YouTube Theater on June 8th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you happen to have Wilshire Boulevard in your commute at any point, it's about to get a lot worse thanks to construction on, I'm not calling it the D line, it's the Purple Line in Beverly Hills. Here's Fox 11.
A traffic nightmare in Beverly Hills. That's how many describe their experiences as LA Metro closes a section of Wilshire Boulevard.
It is to perform work on the subway extension project. Let's go live to Beverly Hills, where Fox 7's Chelsea Edwards has more. Chelsea.
I don't know if Beverly Hills knows what they're in store for. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if you look at every part of town where Metro expands to, let's just say it brings an element to that town that they don't want. And that is the homeless. When the Gold Line extended to Azusa, all of a sudden, the Target was getting looted left and right every single day. When the Expo line went to Santa Monica, well, that almost perfectly correlates from when Santa Monica went from this ritzy place that had terrible parking to a dangerous place with terrible parking.
Yeah, well, it is only day 3, but this closure already impacting people who work here, people who live here, also businesses. I mean, all the streets around this area have been absolutely jam-packed. This stretch of Wilshire Boulevard is now a construction zone.
I used to work on Wilshire. 97.1, the FM talk station, was on Wilshire and Hauser on the Miracle Mile. And part about that was there was no freeway shortcut to get there. You had to take the streets. You had to either get off, you pretty much had to either get off the 101 at Highland and race through Hollywood and get down to Wilshire, or you had to take the 405, get off at Wilshire and cut through that. There was no good way. It was all bad all the time.
Wilshire Boulevard between Crescent and El Camino Drives in Beverly Hills is now shut down to traffic. But the thousands of cars that use the busy thoroughfare have to go somewhere, which means traffic is backed up all over the area, impacting residents, workers, and businesses alike.
Already there's not much parking in this area, but this is the main road now. So people pass by, they look at us, and they just keep going.
Ronnie
And then you have more impatient people that make more unbelievably bad decisions, more accidents. It's just a perpetuating cycle of awfulness.
Ronnie El-Sadi.
And all this construction in the metro has not helped out the traffic problem. The traffic has only gotten worse, and Metro brings a whole lot of other problems with it.
Ronnie El-Sadi owns a luxury bakery called Pompadour on Charlottesville Boulevard near Beverly Drive. He says he's excited about the Metro project, but hopes the short-term traffic won't keep customers away from the neighborhood.
We're already in this.
Oh, it will. People stay away when traffic's bad. That's why I don't leave the house.
We're struggling to get people to come and shop and spend money in Beverly Hills. So we want something to bring people to the city, not to make them run away, which is this kind of traffic make people run away from the city.
It's all part of the $10 billion D-Line subway extension project, which officials hope to complete for the 2028 Olympic Games here in L.A.
Yeah, that's not happening. Dave Sotero, you can fact check me all you want. That project will not finish on time.
The project will ultimately connect downtown L.A. to the Wilshire VA Hospital in Westwood and adds 2 new metro stations. This one, the Wilshire Rodeo Station, is expected to open in 2026.
It won't. But there'll be lots of traffic, and when it does eventually open, it'll bring all the problems that Metro brings with it. Well, I got to vent about traffic for an hour, so now I feel better. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. We're so happy to be doing this show for you every single day from 5 to 6, talking about the local issues that matter most. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.